with something that sounds kind of country. A little bit of that Pig Robbins influence. Then you can take it somewhere else really quickly. Mote here. Welcome to episode 4. We're going to call this Under the Influence Part 2 because I'm going to talk about some more of the people who made a huge influence on my life, my career as a musician, and really influenced what I love to listen to because of how first class it was. Coming again to you from my home here, and we got the doggies, we got the pups, who you may see here and there. Just a kind of a casual situation we got going here. Thank you so much for all the positives, great comments, great questions, and so many subscribers already. I don't know what I expected, but I didn't expect for it to go this quickly, especially, that a lot of people are working and kind of back to normal. Of course, we're not near back to normal like we hope to be one day, but people are busy, and so I'm so grateful that you take time to subscribe and hit that ring the bell icon so that you're notified when anything else is uploaded. But I had several questions about different influences, and I had a gentleman comment, I bet you were influenced a lot by Pig Robbins, and boy, you couldn't be more right about that. Pig really flew my flag high and still does, but when I first started playing sessions and he heard about me and heard who I was and heard me play, he was so supportive and really, again, flew my flag really high. And I remember I would play on the Opry with Porter Wagner, and Pig would be listening. And I remember there's one song we did called She Burned the Little Roadside Tavern Down, and the intro was charge. Pig called me one night after we'd played that, and he left me a voicemail, and he said, I love that left hand, keep that going. And that was such a huge compliment. I was so grateful just to get a little feedback from the legend, someone who I had always wanted to play like, certainly influenced by. And I heard him on country records. I also heard him on a lot of gospel records. There was a local group that lived about 70, 80 miles from where I grew up, but we would sing in churches with them from time to time. And the old gospel song, We'll Soon Be Done with Troubles and Trials, Pig played an intro on their little custom album that not many people heard, but it was one of the greatest intros I ever heard, and I'll never forget it. That's just classic. And like I say, he, by doing things like that and playing those incredible intros, it didn't matter what he was playing on. If he was playing on something that was an A artist, so to speak, a country secular type situation, or if it was something maybe he didn't even know who the artist was. He just always showed up to work and always gave it his very best. And all of us here in Nashville try to do that on a daily basis. I don't hold back, whether I know who the artist is or whether I don't, whether I've been friends with them a long time or I've never met them. It's your reputation, and God has given all of us the gift of music. And so in order to be a light in this world and to do right by Christ, it is our job to give him 100% back. And so there you have it. That's why we do what we do, and we give it 100% every time. And Pig was such a role model and continues to be in that way. And I could talk so much about Pig. He asked me to play at the induction of his into the Country Music Hall of Fame, which was a great honor. When I read the press release that he was going to be inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame, I called him and left him a message on his voicemail. And about 3 o'clock that afternoon, he called me back and he said, I was doing a session, which I thought was the greatest thing. He was telling me, hey man, I am not out of it yet. I'm still working. And that has always stuck with me, man. He is just the consummate professional, and by him asking me to do that, really was an honor and made me feel 10 feet tall. And I got to play with Crystal Gale, his iconic intro. Wurlitzer on that. And he played Wurlitzer on that too, you know. You know, and he does that little lick, and then halfway through the verse, don't it make my brown eyes blue? I mean, all the little things in the middle are just as important to me as the intro is. And then Dirk Johnson was there as well and played the intro to one of my absolute favorite songs, a Gene Watson tune, 14 Karat Mine. He played some great stuff on those old Gene Watson records. You can say it on me almost every night. I love that stuff, man. And so yes, Pig Robbins was a huge influence. I could do a whole week of episodes just talking about Pig and our personal relationship. He was sick when Alan Jackson started recording his Drive album, and Pig told Keith Stegall that he should call me. And so that was the very, very first time I worked with Keith. I think Keith is just an amazing producer, an incredible songwriter. Wrote one of my absolute favorite songs of all time, the Al Jarreau tune, We're in This Love Together. And but he's written a lot of hit songs and had a great artist career. I loved his solo stuff, man. He made some killer records. And first time to ever work with John Kelton, who's also an Alabama boy. And man, it was just world class. And I hated that Pig was sick, but I was so grateful to get the opportunity. And had it not been for Pig, I wouldn't have gotten that opportunity, because I don't know that Keith Stegall even knew who I was at that time. But that opened the door for me to play my very first #1 country song, Where Were You When the World Stopped Turning? And that was kind of an answer to prayer in more than one way. One way was that was a big step up. I had been playing on some records and had worked for some incredible producers already, like Scott Hendricks, who's one of my best friends, and Paul Worley, and Ted Hewitt was doing Rodney Atkins, and that was about to break. And several things that I had been playing on were about to really break big. But the Alan Jackson thing was the first #1 country song. But it was an answer to prayer in another way too. And I haven't talked about this much, but I remember 9/11 like we all do. I remember where I was when I heard what was going on, and then we turned on the TV and we were watching it before I left for the studio that day. And I don't remember what I was working on that day. I just remember working on it and thinking, man, we are just not really serving any purpose today. I just felt really sad because of all that was going on in our country, and all the people that were killed, and all the families that were without a mom or a dad or a brother or a sister or a son or a daughter. And I just wanted to be part of the resolution. I wanted to do something to help with the grief of this nation. But what could little old me do, you know? What could I do? But I just didn't feel like I was serving any purpose that day in the studio. I felt kind of guilty, like I'm sure many of us did. And so I remember asking God just in the course of the day, Lord, please help me do something that matters. And I prayed that prayer for quite a few days. I'm going to do something that matters. And little did I know that I was about to play on a song that would go a long way to healing our nation. And a lot of people really got a lot of hope and encouragement from that song. And I remember Alan coming in and sitting on a stool. He was sitting on this stool, and he had his guitar, and he played it, and he said, it was right after dinner. We did a 2 and a 6 that day. And I'll never forget it. He walks in the control room and he says, boys, play this little song. Told Denise I would. I don't know if it's any good or not, but she told me I ought to play it for y'all. And then he started playing on his guitar. Where were you when the world stopped turning? Man, what a moment. I don't remember every moment in the studio. There's no way we ever could. I don't remember every intro I've ever played. There are people that remember much more about my career than I do, but I'll never forget that moment. That was, I wouldn't take anything for that memory and getting to be there in that moment. Man, I could do a whole week's worth on Pig and how grateful I am to him. So many people have influenced me in this town. Matt Rollins has been a huge influence on me. I remember I worked for Lee Greenwood. That was the first gig I ever had out of college. And Lee kept talking about Matt Rollins, Matt Rollins, Matt Rollins. I didn't realize that I already knew a lot about his music. I didn't realize who I was listening to. And but he kept talking. And then I got the gig with Trisha Yearwood a little bit after that. And Matt had played on all those records, all those iconic intros that I had to learn, which I already knew them because I'd heard them on the radio. But you know, or acoustic guitar. Man, it's beautiful. Hugh Presswood, the song Remembers When. So fun playing with Trisha. She sang great every night. And but I learned a lot from Matt, just listening to all the stuff. Some of that stuff he played on the Lyle Lovett records is just crazy good. And I mean, you know, I could spend a week talking about all these guys. Steve Nathan, the Prez, man, he's just a monster too. And not only is he a monster, but he's one of the greatest guys I've ever met. The first time I won the Music Row Award, and the Music Row Instrumental Awards are given based on who plays on the most top 10 songs in a year. And I don't remember the first year I'd won it, but Steve had won it every year since until that point, like 24, 25 years worth, and just crazy. But Steve came to the little ceremony there and presented me with the award. And I just thought, man, that's nobody would do that, you know. And so I'm just so grateful to Prez. We still text, and I remember the first time I ever heard his B3 live, I thought, man, I want mine to sound just like that. So I had Murph goof with it until we got it sounding as good as Prez's sounded. John Jarvis is another monster. There's so many. I should just do a week's worth talking about the studio musicians in Nashville, and not just piano players, guys that I'm so influenced by. I'll have to do that. Guys that funny stories about them and fun sessions with them. I'll do some thinking. All right, so that's going to do it for this episode. But again, I really hope you're enjoying the videos. If you are, please give the videos a thumbs up. That really helps the channel and the algorithms on YouTube. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. Hit that red button, subscribe, and then ring that notification bell so that you're notified anytime the videos are uploaded. Thanks so much for joining me. This has been fun. This first week has been an absolute blast. Can't wait to continue on this journey. God bless all of you, and we'll talk to you next time.